What's going on, guys? So we're back again with another gameplay video. This time we have Seth here on the left playing Soul Striker, and we have Perth Pro Players team member Alex here on the right playing Golden Frieza. So just before they get started into the gameplay video, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Team Card Titan. So if you guys want any DBS Seal products or DBS singles, make sure you check out that link in the description below. And for all the people in Australia and New Zealand, check out their auction page on Facebook as well. Now, obviously, Soul Striker back in the day, set 1, absolutely amazing. Golden Frieza back in the day, set 1, really fun as well. Unfortunately, we've got a reboot of the Soul Striker here. This is not the original one, so it is reboot. Only untapping mono blue, but a lot stronger, being able to draw on the front and then also being able to get a hell of a lot of bonus on our Awaken, and early Awaken is really strong. Frieza, doing just that, trying to draw as many cards as possible. So we're going to use extra card. This means turn 1, we have Riposte live. We have the Goku counterplay live, right? We've got it all live. We've got 2 extra cards. We've got one in energy and one in our drop straight away, which is great. So we're going to hit the sorbet. Hopefully not whiffing here off the top. Fingers crossed. Potentially hitting a riposte, of course. That's what we always try to go for. I think we did see a riposte just there. So Alex having a look what he's got in hand. Yeah, we're going to hit a riposte. Why not? Obviously has another 1-drop in hand. But what we're going to do is we're going to pop it, draw, untap, right? So the untap happens before the draw. It's all mono yellow, so it doesn't really matter too much here. If you were running different colors, obviously it changes. We do get to untap and just draw. So we haven't swung with leader just yet. I don't think we will swing with leader. There's probably no benefit here on the front. We're not going to draw or anything like that. Unless he wants to attack, maybe. Looks like we're leaving it. I think Seth put it back in rest mode. Okay, no, sorry. We are swinging with it, looks like. So we are comboing out. Yes, there we go. So we are going to swing into leader. Because I guess Alex's thought process here, right, is that this deck can awaken turn 3, right? You don't want to have them awaken turn 3, be a 15k at 8 life, right? No one wants that. You want to be able to get them down a little bit. So then if they do awaken turn 3, it's not too detrimental. Okay, I guess that's the idea. So we're going to hit Beto the Cruel. I'm assuming just swinging in, probably just drawing a card. I don't think it's really worth doing too much else right now. Probably worth just drawing a card unless he wants to ape for some reason. But more than likely, we just use Beto's effect and then swing a crit in as well. I think a crit's definitely beneficial. I'd probably hit the crit first if I was Seth. But maybe he's going to go for the 2 cost here, the Unforeseen Darkness, I believe it is, the Goku Black. Instead. So that's always a good choice too. Obviously being able to get draws and untaps is always very strong. So end of turn, I assume he just leaves it. That probably doesn't need a swing. You don't want to give Golden Frieza too many cards. What you need to do when you verse Golden Frieza is you really want to be able to control their Awaken turn. So if you can swing enough that they awaken during your turn, they lose a few cards, right? Which is the benefit of this leader, and they lose an untap as well. So you really want to hit them hard and make sure they lose enough life during your turn that forces them to awaken. Okay, so by charging a 1-drop, I'm assuming we've got another 1-drop in hand, which is great. So we're going to swing 10k to 10k. Seth probably just taking it right now. There's no need to combo out. You may as well just take it. I think it's not worth. Just let it happen. You can lose a bit of life. That's not a problem. We're going to play another card. I assume that it draws a card. Perfect. So playing another card that draws a card, which is exactly what we want. Popping that card to draw another card and untap an energy as well. And as I said, we've got access to our riposte if need be too. So if we need to slow the game down at any point, we can very easily. So pretty much all this deck does is just run cards that draw cards. That's what it does at the start. Just draw as many cards as you can. Find the pieces that you need, right? And then you just kind of close out the game with a slow grind. So looks like we are going to pass turn, which is interesting just here. So passing turn, hopefully finding our unison here. If not, it kind of sucks, but it does happen sometimes. We don't always find it turn 3, but the right thing to do is to force the person to have that turn 3, right? Because if they don't, you potentially get a little bit more time, or you buy a little bit more time, and you can kind of put some aggression in, force them to awaken at 4 life rather than at 8 life with a unison, okay? So looks like we're paying 2, I'm assuming, to go for the draw 8. getting some energy back. Sorry, getting some cards back. And then I would assume we just swing with leader, draw a card. There's no point for the untap at this point. Unless he wants to go for the crit for some reason, which he may do. We also have the Goku Calamity Challenger. Always a good card too. I love that card. Just being able to pay 1 energy to draw cards is always fun. So he's just going to draw one. Good choice. May as well just start drawing cards now while we can. And then I think, yeah, potentially going for Calamity Challenger, or we just hit the crit on the beater, right? Either one of them is fine. Yeah, so we're just going to take that damage. I think we just hit Calamity Challenger. As I said, Alex isn't doing much in this starting... the start of the game, he's not doing much. He's just drawing cards. That's all he really, really wants to do is just draw cards as much as possible. Build up his hand, find his pieces. And it looks like we're just going to grab Calamity Challenge. And now, I think Soul Strike is still probably one of the best blue-yellow decks, I believe, in the format right now. I think it has a very good matchup against most things. We're going to hit a riposte. So this makes me feel like maybe Alex has access to Self-Awaken going into this next turn. Or it just feels like, you know what, I want to slow the game down a little bit in my favor. But he also gets a 15k swing as well, which can deal with this Goku Black, which is a potential thing that he could be doing as well, right? Now, we also have Power of Super Saiyan in hand, which, great card. Sadly, been limited down to 1, but I have no doubt that Yellow will still use and abuse that 1 card, right? We've seen it with Bagama many times, so I definitely think it's still going to be used at the end of the day. You just definitely don't want to charge it, and we probably have to start running a few other extra cards to make sure you can get your Ripostes and your Gokus live as well, right? So we are going to hit the Roshi. Perfect card right now. As I said, had a feeling we'd have a Self-Awakener if he's just going to throw a Riposte down. As I said, Riposte can be a 15k swing to just deal with a few of those pesky things on the board, which is fair enough. I definitely think that is a good choice as well. So we're going to play this down, take a life, pay an energy. Not going to grab a Moon Destroying Kamehameha because we don't run them in the deck. I have seen some people been running them lately. I'm assuming just because it's an extra card, you charge it, right? It's not bad, right? It's kind of cool to have a card to charge. I think someone said it really well that if you just, in other card games, right, if you could grab like a land, like in Magic or something like that, and you just know this is my charge for the next turn, that's great, right? So that's one of those things that is really strong. Now, Alex is controlling his Awaken here, right? So Alex is able to get exactly the Awaken that he wants right now, which is really, really huge for him, especially because Seth now is kind of going to struggle for the rest of the game. The fact that he's just been able to draw so many cards, get his Awaken turn off, get the untaps, get the draws, exactly what he needs. And as you can see, a full grip pretty much in hand right now, which is great. So the fact that he can now swing in as well and draw another card with the effect of the Frieza leader is great. So he's not going to grab Moon Destroying, doesn't have any in deck. Right, as long as you got space for something like that, you want a free energy, go for it, right? Only thing I worry about is just sometimes having a dead card. If you draw it in the late game, it kind of sucks if you don't play out Roshi. So we're going to swing 15 to 15. As I said, I thought he played the Riposte just to start dealing with this Goku here, which makes sense to me. You just want to get it off the board as soon as you can. Less pressure on you. He gets to draw a card, and he'll probably just swing the Riposte into it as well. If not, we're playing another card. I'm assuming it draws a card. Perfect. Frieza's call. Play a card that draws a card. Perfect. Exactly what we want, right? So that's what we need right now. Just more cards in hand. Pop it. Once again, you pop the rest mode 1, and then you get to untap your 2. And then we're pretty much back to where we started with all of this. So we're going to draw another card and untap our 2 energy, which is perfect. And Alex still in the correct sequence. So we always untap first, and then we draw. Looks like he's got, I want to say, like at least 12 to 15 cards in hand right now, quite easily. So he's got a full grip right now, which is really, really nice for him. Feeling in a pretty safe situation, I would feel like. We're going to swing a 15 into leader. As I said, want to kind of take him down a little bit. Don't want him awakening at too high a life total. So we're going to draw a card. Still at 7 here, which is rather scary. More than likely, we've probably charged the Dimension Magic, because I think that may be one of the only mono blues that are in our hand right now. So yeah, charging the Dimension Magic, I guess at this point, it's not too bad. The only scary thing is once Alex sets up a Unison, there is a potential he could put some bombs down on the board. that you need extra card negates to defend against, all right? And if you don't have extra card negates, it kind of sucks. So I would say we probably just swing here again. Just take the draw, all right? So swing Calamity Challenger. Just a 15k blocker it is. I would assume here we swing the leader as well. Get our draw going, right? And then we can play the Goku Black after we get the draw, just in case we get a unison, right? There is that potential that we get the unison. But you do want to get that draw. Either way, it's not a bad thing, right? Sad thing now is obviously he has done riposte. So we've swung with Calamity Challenger. So I think you always got to be wary of that, right? So we've rested. We get to play out Poutine because we rested something, which is quite nice. And then we do get the draw going as well. So this pretty much means that anytime we play anything with a skill, we can tap one card down on the board, or the card being playing, either one, as long as it's played by a skill. So it looks like we've got a Kefla instead, which kind of sucks, but I think what we do now is we just play the resource game. So yeah, you combo this, you pay 2, you draw 2, right? And then you play the Goku Black after that as well, and then you get your untap and draw 2. So we're going to Goku Black, and then I think we do the Ape as well, just to get more cards in our hand, because we're versing Alex's, 12 to 15 cards, I think, at this point, which is rather scary. So I think we just want to start drawing as many cards as possible while we can. And we also need to find a unison, right? At the moment, it's a bit of a struggle. We finally found the unison. There it is, obviously. I don't think it's worth swinging. We don't have anything to rest, right? We do have to rest something to be able to swing in with this card, because it is an additional cost on top of the swing. So if we don't have something we can't swing, because something we can't rest, we can't swing. Okay, so at this point, he needs to have another card to rest on top of this, right? I think they're just discussing it just to make sure exactly what it is, but it is an extra cost on top. You cannot, you cannot rest something. You cannot swing. You do have to rest something. It's the same as what Topo is, right? It's different to Koitsukai in the wording, but it's the same as what Topo is you do have to discard the 2 cards to be able to swing. If you can't, you can't swing. So we'll just pass turn on that one. Draw our 2, untap. Right, that's what we want to do. That is fine as well. It's still very valuable to be able to do that. I don't think it was really worth the swing at this point anyway. We've got ourselves Awakener for next turn, which is great. But I'm assuming here Alex is going to put some pressure. So I hope that Seth remembers to draw his 2 cards. Hope he doesn't forget. Off the Goku Black. Looks like we have forgotten. All right, yep. He has remembered. There we go. So draw your 2 cards. Perfect. And we do get our untap as well. And interesting to see what we discard here. I think maybe, yep, so one of the Vegeta Carvers. And then we untap an energy, which is great as well. So we do have Kefla energy up right now, which is awesome. Sorry, not up right now, but we have Kefla energy available to us, which is great. So we are able to get a Kefla on the board, tap down some energy, and cause some mayhem as well. But it looks like what we're going to do is we're going to slap a slug down onto the board. So this is now very, very hard, right? So as I said, the reason that I was saying just draw as many cards now while you can, right, to match Alex's hand is because we know Slug eventually has to come down, right? Slug is a very powerful card that allows him to be able to stop the opponent's draws except for the leader, which is very, very strong. So he's going to swing into Calamity Challenger to clear that off the board. So very glad that he got his Goku Blacks and everything out of the way right now. So we're going to swing Tagomi into Beto. No point protecting now. We just let that die. That's okay. We sack it, untap 2, draw a card, which is perfect here. Another riposte hand. So I think that's 3 we've seen. Potentially have the 4th in hand. It wouldn't surprise me. We've seen so many cards, all right? Swinging a 15k into leader. Potentially going to go for the Zamasu. But it looks like we're going to go for the Dimension Magic. Paying 1 and untapping 2. So making sure we don't untap 3. So he would only get the extra, so you only got 2 energy, not the 3, right? So just making sure if you're not going to tap something down, you only get 1 extra energy, not the 2. So it's exactly like Bean in that sense, but it's just a negate on top of it. So Seth untapped an extra 1 accidentally. I don't think it's going to change the game too much though right now, unless for some reason he rivals Kefla or something like that. So we're going to pay 1, rest the Goku Black. So Alex really just going the long game, trying to get that clear going, right? So it looks like we're going to combo into this guy. So again, if he does a rival Kefla here, he did untap an extra energy, so shouldn't be able to do that at all. So it looks like he is. So unfortunately, this is at this point an illegal play because we would only get an untap of 1 extra energy. We only had 1 up. So Dimension Magic would only untap the 1. Unless he took a life and I missed that. Maybe he did and that's why we got the extra. You are right. It looks like he did take the extra life because I think he is down at 5 right now. So I must have missed that. So my apologies. So yes, that's why he had the 2 extra energy. So good play there by Seth, obviously being able to get that extra energy, knowing that it's okay to take the life to get that going, and then getting his Kefla alive so he can do that, right? So we're going to place that at the bottom, which is great. So we've dealt with that very easily, and then we're going to rest it with Poutine, right? And we're protecting, because we're comboing out of that 15k swing just there, which is great. So let's see what he decides to go for next here. I'm assuming Alex will probably swing in again with the 15, I would think. But what we need here is we really need to get another Kefla to discard just here because we want to tap that energy down because that's probably the only way we can try or attempt to even close out the game because he's just going to get hit with a riposte again. So it looks like we're going to swing in. Going to Xeno Super Combo. So interesting choice. We're going to grab a bean back. Potentially putting in something multicolored. No, so we get it in active, right? So you do get energy in active. Yep, that's what I thought. Maybe he put something in multicolor because we know it's come to the end of the turn if needed, but we definitely combo out that one. Taking it to 25. So passing turn once again. I don't think we have a Kefla in hand, which is very sad. It's what we really need right now is a Kefla in hand because we want to discard and be able to tap down that last energy. Now, I'm assuming though we go for our Unison, right? Go our Unison, get our Awaken going, and that's what we really need to have. So that way, what we can do is untap our 2 energy, draw 2 cards, and then draw another card on the swing as well, right? Sorry, I should say draw for Awaken, draw for swing, and then untap 2 for swing as well. So we're going to hit the Unison, right? Draw a card for the Unison as well, plussing 2. So taking it up to 5, drawing a card. Now that Slug's not on the board, that's very nice for us. Being able to Awaken, drawing 2. And then we swing in, untapping those 2, so the Unison only costs 1, which is perfect. And then drawing another card as well. So at this point in time, it's probably going to hit with a riposte, I would say. But he does have a Unison on board, so the fact that we can kind of hit this other riposte is really nice. We can just start swinging into them. Just try to clear him. So I think Seth may be going for leader. I'm not too sure. Could be going for leader here. He hasn't got too many cards in hand. I guess in comparison to what Alex has right now. So I think what we need to do is just whittle away a little bit. He is going to tap down with Power of Super Saiyan. So very good choice here by Alex being able to do that. As I said, we needed another Kefla before we started swinging, of course, to tap that last energy down so we get full benefit. But still fine play. Awakening, drawing 2, and then being able to swing, draw another card, and untapping is definitely beneficial. Now, what we need to do, and we need to make sure of just here, is we have to swing with our battle card and not our Unison just here if we're choosing to swing. All right, that's what we really need to do. So if it does get riposte, we still get the Unison swing underneath. So it looks like we're going to swing a 15 to a 15. Letting that one go. Let that guy go. Doesn't really need it. Obviously, you can establish another one very easily. We're going to swing a 19. I'm assuming into the riposte again. Always good just to clear the board where we can. All right, I think that's definitely beneficial for Seth just here. Clear the board so it's not too much of a threat. He may go for some combo for free. Let's see what he goes for. Looks like we're just going to take the damage. Interesting choice here by Alex. Obviously, Alex with a full grip in hand, not feeling too scared right now, but there's a lot of energy up on Seth's side, so there is a potential he has another Kefla. So if he tries to go in on a battle card, there is a potential that he can just hit a Kefla arrival, unless he goes potentially for the Goku. which at this point doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that, just because he doesn't have a Unison on board, unless he can establish that next turn and untap enough to be able to play the Goku, which I believe he can do if needed. But it looks like what we're going to do is we're going to play this out, and then we're going to play our tokens. Hopefully Alex remembers that Poutine would trigger, because this is played by a skill technically off the Goku Black, all of these tokens. So I'm hoping he remembers and he taps something down, right? It's one of those effects that when they linger, it is easy to just forget that it's just sitting there sometimes, but I'm hoping he does remember that that's triggered and he rests something down. And I'd assume you go for the Goku Black, because I'm pretty sure the Goku Black is a 20, and then all of the shadow tokens are only 10k, so they're not really too much of a threat. But it looks like what we're going to do is swing in and combo resting our Slug, which is a good choice. Obviously, being able to prevent him from trying to establish another one this turn is definitely beneficial. I'm assuming that was with the token, I would believe there. So swinging, I'm assuming another token into the Slug would be the right choice, but he's going to go a riposte, interesting. And then we're going to hit, I'm assuming we swing one of the tokens, rest another token, and go into the Slug. That's what I would assume we go for here, right? Because at the end of the day, the counter and everything still happened. But I think it's worth just going swing a token, rest a token, and then we kill the Slug, because that's hanging around is worse for him potentially, because now what he can do is establish another Slug onto the board and then kill him that way, right? Which is rather scary. So let's see what Alex decides to go for here. Hopefully Unison into a win con, or he may even pay 5 for the Frieza that counters. When you counter, you get pretty much screwed over. So that could be an option there. Lock down some energy just to really get some benefit. But obviously he can untap with the Soul Striker leader. So there's that potential that he's in a pretty good situation regardless if you tap energy down. So let's see what he goes for here. I believe we just charged another Mechie, or have we not charged yet this turn? I think we did. We charged another Mechie. So interesting. Charge another Mechie. Maybe not going for the Goku. Maybe just going to go for the Frieza 5 cost just here. So it looks like we're going to swing in. I'd say at this point, right, Alex does have an SCR in hand as well. He has the SCR Sin, which is really good for this deck, because it kind of makes a bit of a grind for the opponent and makes it rather difficult. So that is a great card for this deck. So let's see. So we're going to swing a 15, I'm assuming, into leader. Into token, maybe, it looks like. We're going to pay 5 for the Frieza. Deflect. Right, stop that from happening. So, and that's exactly why he's okay with committing 5 cards to it, right? So we're going to get rid of all these cards in rest mode for sure, and that's exactly what we want. I think Seth just realized he was meant to untap. So clearing all these cards in rest mode. Obviously, Unison's still hanging around, but we are going to be able to swing a really nice double striker through that if it gets countered, big issues here for Seth, right? And I think it's just when this card's on the board, it's just any time a counter occurs, it screws him over. I think it specifically says counter attack, if I remember correctly, but he gets to lock 2 energy down, which is really, really strong. So even if he Dimension Magics or something like that, just locking energy down. All right, so I would assume we pop here the one in rest. Yep, untap 2 and then draw a card. That gives us our defense for the next turn. Now, knowing that Zamasu's out, right, Zamasu is a potential. It depends what Alex wants to swing with. Does he want the threat right now, or does he just want a swing and a draw, right? Because he could just go for the swing and draw off this Frieza, which I think is probably the better option. Just being able to draw an extra card is always beneficial in this game, being able to build up that hand a little bit. Not that he doesn't have a fat grip of cards right now, but it's just an extra card for him, okay? So he's gone to Zamasu and rest yet. So I think that's still okay, though. It's still taking a super combo from his hand, which is completely fine to me. We're going to play out the Sin. What I had a feeling is what would happen, right? There's more than enough 1-drops now in the drop area, okay? And this is just extra protection. So for everyone at home that was playing this deck, didn't have an SCR because they couldn't afford maybe Pan or something expensive or something like that, great alternative, right? Great card. We got it for free for playing events. Really strong just being able to defend so much. And it allows this deck some extra value as well. You run so many 1-drops, they go into the drop area. Means that you can then play out this Sin and then defend yourself for the few turns. Obviously, Heroine's Lineage is another great card as well that can go into this deck if you don't have a hell of a lot of SER choices. Heroine's Lineage as well. Great choice. In most decks, just being able to kind of stifle people. Always fun. Now, passing into Seth's turn. So, we don't have Slug on the board, which is great. So, being able to either plus this, or we go for the minus for free counters. Now, it depends if we have counter Ape in hand or not, which I don't know if we do. I think we may do. We have more than enough energy to pay for it if need be. So, I think you probably could go for the plus here if he wants. And then that way he can draw an extra card to have more cards to try to kill with, right? But the scary thing here is that we do have this SCR on board, which is going to defend the hell out of Alex's life right now. So it looks like we are going to plus, and we're going to draw some extra cards. I would say probably swing with Unison first. I would think. I don't think he can Fu Shroud it. He maybe can. And if he can, that's going to potentially swing the game in his favor a lot right now, okay? Because then he won't be able to activate the SCR's blocker or anything like that, be able to defend himself too much. And a lot of his cards, like especially extra cards and things like that, are in the hand, and then they're not going to get any value. Riposte is dead as well, which is rather scary, so it's his combo. So there is a potential that he can swing it in his favor with this Fu Shroud. And again, this is why the card's been banned so recently. Obviously not hit in effect yet, but eventually will be. But this is one of the reasons I would say that they did choose to ban it, just because of the way that it really can be very unfair. A game that you shouldn't deserve to win, sometimes you can just pull it out of nowhere with that card, right? There is always that potential. I'm not saying that that's happening right now, but I'm just saying that is a potential that it can happen. So let's see what Seth decides to go for. He potentially goes for the Fu Shrouded if he's got the 10 in drop. I didn't see what he counted before. Just means, as I said, Alex's deck is kind of dead in hand right now. A lot of the cards don't do much. Super combos are dead. They're zeros. And then all the extra cards he has are dead as well. So it looks like we're going to tap a decent amount. I believe that is all 6. And we're going to hit the Fu Shrouded, right? Which means the SCR is kind of dead. We are going to Cold Bloodlust though, so wow. So hitting with Cold Bloodlust. Great card. Had 1 energy, and that was the card he needed. Pretty much blank now, that card. So it gets no effect. Showing that card was the best back in the day, honestly. Hasn't been seen very much, obviously, because now it's down to limit 1. But yeah, absolutely insane card. I love that card so much. Just being able to stop a card like that as well. Because I think that Fu Shrouded would have swung it in Seth's favor a hell of a lot this turn right now. Just would have been able to do a lot and potentially closed out the game as well with the Fu Shrouded. So we are going to swing in, draw a card and untap 2. Now we've got to make sure we untap mono blues, of course. So untapping our 2 blue energy. We do have a defense card. We do have a dematch, which is good. Now Alex just loses 5k every time this card blocks, okay, which is okay. That's not a problem. Losing 5k is fine. You've still got an infinite blocker pretty much in that card, which is insane. So the fact that he can really just defend this whole turn right now with that 1 blocker is really, really nice. So I would say we just keep swinging. Just keep throwing it in. You swing the Unison next, and then you swing the Fu Shrouded. So you definitely don't swing Fu Shrouded first. You swing the Unison, see if Alex blocks. If Alex blocks, lose another 5k. Then you Fu Shroud, you swing in. Hope that he blocks here on the Fu Shrouded swing, on the 3rd swing that you do, right, for the turn. So that way you can try to kill it because it's at a lot lower energy level or power level, right? Because it can die to battle. It just cannot get removed by effects. So if he's going to combo, he needs to kind of commit to it right here. I can't remember if the shadow tokens have 5k combo or not. I think they do, if I remember correctly. So they're kind of irrelevant right now. I think it would have been worth just comboing the shadow tokens off as well to be able to just force this damage through, or like force the blocker to go away, because that's going to be really annoying as the turns go on. So we are just going to draw 2 cards with our super combo. Again, if Fushad had hit, that card would have been dead, and the blocker would have been dead as well. So that's the huge difference. Now, again, as I said, I think the wrong play there was to swing the Fushad second. The right thing was to swing the Fushad swing the Fushad third to get that extra block, and then try to kill it that way rather than having to commit too much. So very unfortunate there for Seth. Obviously having to tap 6 and getting it dealt with for 1 energy is really sad. And Alex was able to just defend that entire turn just with that SCR. It's gone now, but it saved him the whole turn, which is great. And I think it did what it needed to do. It wasn't worth saving at that point, but we do have, it looks like, the Overrealm Bardock. So if we need to clean up any little battle cards, we definitely can very easily. Now, what we need to do here is we need to start putting some damage through on the Frieza side. So it looks like Soul Strike is still at 5, which means his super combos are dead, I guess, at the moment. But we need to try to force some damage through to try to get the win, because it's not happening right now, sadly. So we're going to pay 1 energy. Any response, we do have to do this blindly, right? And then he just tap something down instead of using the effect. So he does have a choice. So that card can potentially stay on the board. Right, he doesn't have to choose when he pays the energy. He can choose after there has been a response. And it does have to be blind here in this window. So let's see what Seth decides to do. I would assume he goes for it. And then Alex would just say, yeah. And then he just says, all right, effect, play nothing. Which I'm pretty sure he can. I don't think he has to go straight to drop. I'm pretty sure he can just choose to go for the resting instead. But just rest nothing. But he's going to pay 3 anyway. Doesn't matter. That's fine. He's going to stop super combos and things from drawing. So we're going to swing a 20k into leader, I would assume. So Seth, unfortunately, having a little amount of cards in hand, has gone down pretty quick for him, unfortunately. So swinging this 20k in can be a little bit detrimental, because it's going to cost a few cards unless we combo out. We are at 5 life though, so it is worth, in a way, probably taking this damage. That's not a problem right now. It's when you start getting down to 4, you have to start really fretting a little bit and really trying to protect yourself. So I'd assume we probably just take this damage here. Definitely don't want to counter, because obviously he's going to lock down some energy as well with that Frieza on board. So I don't think we want to counter. I think we just want to take the damage quite easily. And then Alex needs to keep the onslaught up, right? He needs to keep swinging as much as possible. And now we just need to defend. And sometimes if you have to negate, you have to negate, right? There is that potential that has to happen. But it looks like we are going to take another 15. We're going to pop untapping 2 and drawing a card. Right, giving ourselves 4 energy back, which is quite a lot. Right now, you can do a lot of stuff with 4 energy, which is rather scary. So, I would say we probably swing with our leader, is a 15k. So it looks like he's going to swing the double strike through, potentially. Going to swing the leader through. I was going to say, just in case there's a master, it's rather scary. I think you swing leader just to get your extra draw. You don't want to lose out on that. He's got a fat grip right now. Feeling really protected, I would say. Hitting a super combo, taking it up to 25. Again, the fact that he can draw and now Seth can't off super combos is rather rude. It's going to make it a little bit harder for him. I think, though, he runs Falls of Master super combos anyway, which is fine. So he doesn't really care about drawing from super combos, but drawing off the unison and things like that no longer available to him, which is rather sad. So we're taking it to 25, taking it to 25 as well, taking up to 30k, right? That card's no longer drawing, so it's not as valuable. So comboing that off, taking up to 30k. I would assume here we just swing in with our Frieza. Paying 3. Gonna play our Trunks out. Great card. Great card. So very, very threatening, I feel like, right now. So being able to swing dual attack 20k, making it 25, which is great as well. So just 25, it looks like. What a great number in this game, 25, forcing some cards from hand, especially because Seth can't draw off his super combos as well. And it's a rather safe swing to try to win off here. He does have a double strike, I would assume. I would believe we've got a double strike. Double strike. There we go. I was going to say, I was like, surely we've got something here. Yes. And at the end of the day, you don't want to have... Kefla is a potential option for Seth that could kill him. But we're able to swing in with this. If he's able to combo out for some reason, we can swing in with the Frieza. So there we go, guys. Golden Frieza taking that one. Rather grind of a game, but really, really interesting to watch. A lot of back and forth, which is always nice to see in DBS. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to subscribe. Hit that bell to stay notified. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.